Hey, my name is Ryan Fornash, and I'll be covering my um, task information that I was able to complete over this past course. So I'm going to start off really quick by just going over some things that I unfortunately was not able to complete. The first thing was the camera shake on heavy attacks. It didn't really, once it was actually implemented, it really didn't feel right for the game. So as a team, we did decide to unfortunately just go ahead and just leave that out, which again I'm okay with. There was another mechanic that I had created as far as a different evade, is where the player could roll, and with the different options that we have for movement abilities, it did feel a little cluttered at that point, and we did decide against going with the roll. Um, it just didn't fit where we wanted the game to go to, so we did decide to remove the roll mechanic entirely. And then the last thing I left out, I wasn't able to complete, was the pickup visual effect because of the amount of potential drops that enemies, leave behind, like different pickups. The visual effect got a little, um, it got a little overwhelming, with the different pickups, just constantly, picking up a whole group of things. It didn't end up working out, and we couldn't. I personally could not figure out a good, clean way to do it. But I will now go ahead and get the build opened from the depot, and our final turn in will be listed under server escape survivors. First thing we're going to start off with is player footsteps, and then that'll immediately go to, then we'll go right into combat introduction. So when we first start, obviously, I will show you to where you can hear the sound, and the player footsteps have different variation. There's three different footstep sound, which I randomize with volume and pitch. We'll go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and turn the intro. Go ahead and turn the music down. All right. Then you can hear the player footsteps. Goes from there. And it matches up pretty well. I was quite pleased with that. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and pick a class, which I'm going to use our mage class, which is also techie. And that is our pop-up. That's my introduction for combat, which is our next task to show. So again, it's just a quick pop-up that shows, it's just a quick little guide, little on-screen text that shows what you can do, how you can attack the enemy. Um, so again, to press left mouse, the light attack again gives a quick explanation. It's quick and great for combos. And then the other thing would be for the right mouse button, heavy attack, which certain classes do certain things, which you could deal more damage or you could break enemy defenses. And again, that covers all of that here. Go ahead and move forward. The next thing that's going to pop up is our pickup introduction and our mana usage introduction, which I combined into one on-screen prompt. We didn't want to put too many on-screen prompt throughout the level. That would end up being frustrating. You constantly being stopped and having to read. So we did decide to move forward with just combining these two tasks. So again, it's just a pickup introduction. It shows how pickups work and obviously what they'll do. And then the mana usage intro just explains, where you can keep track of everything and, how it's drained or how it's used up. So again, that is right here. There's our on-screen prompt to let you know that mana and stamina fuel your special abilities. Using these abilities will drain the resources, so use them wisely. The resources do generate over time, or you can find pickups to restore them faster, which enemies will drop. And it just lets you know that you can keep track of your mana and stamina bars down here at the bottom along with your health. The next thing I'm going to show off is going to be the player damage sound effect. So when the player takes damage, there is a variation between three different hurt sounds. that are played at random and at each time they're hit and at variations as well. And then at the same time, I will also show, because in the same hit, when the sound plays, there's also a visual effect. So again, there is a Niagara effect that was placed onto the location of the actor when they're hit that will play to show, obviously, that the player has taken damage. And we'll go ahead and show that off really quick. And there's the damage taken and the sound effect that goes. Right. And if you notice there was a little blue bar that popped up, I will go ahead and explain that really quick. I'm also going to turn the sound effects volume down at this point. So as you heard as well through that playthrough, when I was attacking the enemies also had a sound effect that I was able to place. And again, it works along the same way, just different audio cues that I'd used for the enemy is different from our player, which is random and does change in pitch and variation as well. Now again, so the blue bar that you just saw that wrapped around the screen that was the mana. That was letting you know that your mana is running low. So again, that's tracked at the bottom left, and once it hits at 35%, then there is a border that'll pop up around the edge of the screen. That's blue. The other thing that will pop up would be the stamina, letting you know when stamina is low as well, a threshold, once again, 35%. There's a yellow border that'll pop up around the edge as well. And then for low health, there is a red border that'll pop up at 35% too. We'll go ahead and again, so the low health, that was taken care of, and it triggers once you hit that threshold, and then it does come back off of the screen. It does reset once you're above the threshold as well. We'll go ahead and show that off, and then there's going to be one other thing to go ahead and show right here, which is our dash introduction, and that is listed here. So for the dash introduction, it's just, if you haven't figured it out at this point of the game, it's just a quick dash movement that you can make is more of like evading or escaping hostiles, or trying to get away from a group of enemies to reposition. And then later on, it can be upgraded to our blink, which again is dash slash blink introduction, because here we do let the players know that you can use left shift to dash, and then later on in their journey, they'll be able to unlock an upgrade that will replace dash. So we don't tell them up front, then leave a little mystery there, but it does, again, blink will replace dash at that point. We'll go ahead and get these enemies taken care of. All right, and again, this is where it'll be unlocked, and again, now that blink is unlocked, okay, so and there's the blue border. Now this player doesn't really use, this character doesn't use stamina. But I will go ahead, and then once we hit, there we go, blue border removes once we get back above that threshold. And let's go ahead and try to get through this as quickly as we can. And the boss is about to spawn. All right, let me run through this really quick just one more time. Oh, let's do the magician. And again, this is a difficult game, so it is designed to be that way. Alright, let's go ahead and kick rocks out of here. Ragdoll effects. Alright, and let's go ahead and move on to the next area. Let's do max P. Again, shows that it does go up. There's our blink. Left that on just to show that it works. And our health is getting low. Alright, now we got all that. Now the boss is here. The little arrow shows where the boss is. Alright, and then we're going to move on to the last little section, which I also want to show really quick the toggle for the minimap, which I did create a short toggle, which is here. That pops up there. And then as far as interacting now, we use E to cycle through. And that was my final task that needed to be completed. Which again, we wanted for E key to cycle through the next line of dialogue. Again, I thank you for watching, and I'll have Chase take over next, and have a great rest of your day.
Hi, I'm Chase Green, the system designer. Here are my 24 approved tasks in build 156558. Melee SP regeneration. The melee class is supposed to regenerate SP based on the MP and HP that's left. We did this by finding what the percentage of both the HP and MP are and adding that percent to the SP regeneration amount to give the player a max of 3 and a minimal of 1 SP regeneration. Melee heavy attack wall reshape. Due to player feedback and the dislike of the cone that is created by the heavy attacks by the player and melee heavy the attack of the boss, we created a wall that would prevent the player from going. We did this by creating a static mesh that would pop up in front of the player or behind the player if the boss did it. We did an attack combo resetting for the melee ranged and magic class, and then did the testing. For the melee class, they have a 3 attack combo that resets when they do all 3 attacks or when they run out of SP. The mage combo, it stacks up to 7 times, has a visual of 6, and resets after 3 or when out of MP. The range combo stacks up to 6, visual of 5, and resets after 3, but these attacks do not increase. The primary attack increases the secondary attack. Here we are going to demonstrate the melee class's SP. We can see that the SP regeneration is high, decreasing the MP by using the attacks. We could start to see that the MP is decreasing. Also during the heavy attack, we were able to see the wall. We are then going to be able to see the actual combo reset. So it goes to 3, resets, goes to 3, and resets. Next is going to be the mage class. where we're going to see the the MP actually decreasing. We're doing this to demonstrate the reset when MP is at 0. So every time it hits 0 MP, it resets the combo. Alright, demonstrating the attacks resets after 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And it's reset. Projectile effect changes. The ranged attacks had a knockback effect, and the arrows also had a pierce attack. We removed the knockback effect from all the ranged attacks, and then we implemented this for all the classes that used both the magic attacks and ranged attacks. They all use different types of arrows due to different effects. And then we ended up testing it all. We created an enemy health bar system for player feedback to see how much damage they're doing and when an enemy is damaged. The health bar appears when the enemy takes the damage and disappears if the enemy has not taken damage for 5 seconds. Here we are going to be able to see the actual arrow changes and the health bars of the enemies. Resource pickup percentage. We changed the pickup percentage, or the pickups to a percentage. Originally they were a flat number, and they were healing around 10%, so instead of just, when we increased the values of the pools, instead of just increasing the pickups value, we ended up making it into a percentage base. We did this for the health pickup, with making it have a minimum, or a max of 10%, a minimal of healing only 5. And we did, it is also not able to be picked up if the player has 100% health. We did identical for the SP and the MP, just in different blueprints and slightly different stats that they affect. Here we can see the health pickups. So if we don't have enough resources, we are going to be able to pick some up. And as we see that we have max resource, we aren't able to pick up the new resources. Here we're going to be able to see the melee boss's wall attack. They're able to prevent the player from fleeing directly backwards and kiting them. NPC dialogue changes, where we switched the task manager and upgrade wizard's dialogues, and then made it where they are able to be gone through without leaving the dialogue. We did this for the upgrade wizard, and the task was full of the dialogue, and then also the level up process of that he is introducing to the player. So the task manager, we removed the level up process and gave him his dialogue. The new gen status component is a component that stores all of the actual stats of the player, their health, their resistance, if they're dead, if they're burning, the regeneration amount, their actual health pool, and then it also calculates if they are dead and runs the death functions for them. The new gen enemy damage system, so enemies are able to take damage. We created a damage system, and it is able to calculate both the physical and magical damage, and we implemented it and made it able to affect the health bar that is shown on them, and then we ended up testing it. The new gens use an enemy perception that is able to sense the enemies, and as well also they could use an EQS system to strafe around the player as they do their attacks. The completion criteria was just the creation of it using the AIC controller. Create an AIC new dynamic controller. This is the controller that stores the other actor components inside of it and also runs the code or all of the interactions between the actor components and behavior tree. New gen ranged attacks. We created a ranged attack that is similar to the ranged boss that shoots a single little shot as they strafe around the player. And we had to make sure to create the projectile with the components and a rotation component. Here we are introducing the new gen archers, and we can see their attacks. We can see them moving around using the controller, and their status is shown for their health and stuff. And we could see that they are able to take the damage. That was the magical damage, and they are strafing around the player to trying to attack them using the perception system and their EQS. We created the range boss attack combo, which has the range boss do an attack combo of a single shot, triple shot, triple, single, triple, single, triple, triple, single, 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 and repeating. The triple shot shoot one in the middle and two at 30-degree angles, and is able to do a swap up by using flip-flops on the attack. Here we are showing the ranged boss and his attack combos. So one, triple, triple, and so forth. And it will continue going. New gen mage attack. We created a new attack for them that shoots a projectile, has a rotation, a projectile movement. It plays a sound and has a max range. And if it goes to the range, it disappears. And it does 10 damage to the player. New Gen Mage EQS. This is using the perspective system to find a range within 600 of the player, which is the range of the attacks. It generates 16 different locations it moves to. So after attacks, it will move to one of them within 400 or 650, and it prefers the greater number. And then we tested this. Here we are showing the mage class and their attacks shooting their magical projectiles at the player. And we could also see them moving around and trying to reposition to attack the player. Alrighty, there is all 24 of my proved tasks all complete. Next up is Alan, our vision holder.
Hello, this is Alan Gadbois from Team Dopamine. And this is my Sprint 1 review. So to kick things off, there were a few tasks that were unable to be completed. I'll showcase these here. So there's one that's, this was one I pulled from Darius, gate off areas where players can leave the spawner area. I tried to get this one working. I couldn't get some of the blueprints to work properly entirely. So it wasn't game breaking entirely, but we have that once not completed. We have also upgrade timers and asset implementation for the secret missile and the turret. These ones I could not find a reasonable asset to put in through Turbo Squid and other means. And then the timers did not have I didn't have the time to get them. There were other matters that were more pressing. And then on top of that, there were some tasks that I thought were completed, but ended up not being as complete as I was hoping. We did complete the repositioning of the leading lines, but some of them broke. There's a reset upgrades array on player death. This does function, but some of the upgrades, for whatever reason, are still applied even after player death. This is completed. Resetting the area if the player dies. We have just toiled over this one, trying to get this one to work for a while. I think that's just a flaw of some of our code, but we tried a bunch of different things. We spent hours on trying to figure this one out. Couldn't figure it out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then the other one is the leading lines for the blue path for level 2 are broken, and they are still broken for whatever reason. I moved the leading line markers around to be in the right place, but for whatever reason, because of the end being end marker for the leading line being on an elevated plane, even though there is a path up, the leading line couldn't see it. So this one still is showing broken. But now let's get to the other tasks. I have more than 15, plenty of tasks here to showcase that are done. We are launching the build from Perforce here. It is build 1565558. Go ahead and launch it out here. So the first task that I'm going to showcase here is the volume system corrections. At present, or when we started the month, the sound was not functioning properly, and that it would not also apply to in-game any changes made in the menu. So we had the SFX and music was added to their proper collections. The volume slider was configured correctly within the widgets, which we have, which I will showcase, and then finally, all build values or the volume is added to the game instance, which would allow it to function across. So I'm going to switch scenes here so you can see the gameplay here. So as you can see, I'm going to turn the music slider down and the sound slider down, and there's something that plays. Turn it back up a bit. And it all comes back. So that's those functioning correctly. And then we'll go ahead and start game. And they are a little bit quieter. If we'll pause and go to the options menu, they do stay. And we can turn music down. And if we resume, and they are all of those are much quieter now. The next task that I'm going to showcase is the character asset replacement. So this was a task that I took from Darius. So this is replacing the assets with the newer assets from the art team. So we have the main player character, which we saw, which actually I'll restart the game, but the main player character, the melee character, which is the sentinel, the range character, which is the watchdog, and then the mage character, which is the techie. So you see right now we have the techie in play. I'll go back to the main menu and start the game fresh again. And as you can see here, I'll turn all the volumes down here. Here is our main player character. You saw the techie earlier. Here is our watchdog, or the ranger character, with some attack assets. And we also have the melee character with his attacks as well. The next task that I have is the Tailwind update, which basically says that Tailwind only was procking on normal enemies being killed, and needs to update on bosses being killed as well. It needs to proc on bosses as well. So the upgrade ones are going to be a bit hard to show because we have to get them. So here we have Tailwind. So we'll go ahead. So as you can see, I'm going to wait for it to run out here. So you can see we are moving pretty slow. We kill and we are moving faster. So this is the normal intended behavior. We'll get to a boss here. So regular speed, kill the boss. And we are now moving faster. So Tailwind now procs off of bosses. The next task is going to be the blink and dash rework. So dash needing to be rebound to left shift, which we did. And then dash being replaced with blink once it's acquired. So it's hard to show that it was bound to left shift, but if you saw in the previous clip, we did have dash on our left shift, and I can show in the settings. But if we have blink now, we have blink, and now it is also bound to the same thing. We do not have dash anymore. We only have blink. The next two things we'll show here. So the Whirling Blades update, first off, so it's showing that Whirling Blades does damage to bosses. It was normally only doing damage to the normal enemies. And the other thing we'll show as well too is that the Whirling Blades asset implementation. So this was simply just we had a placeholder asset, and this was one of the upgrades that needed an implementation. So we'll click Whirling Blades, and you can see here's our Whirling Blades, and we actually have a boss spawned already. So here's the asset. As you can see, it's our new, the new sword for our melee character. And as we walk in here, it's doing damage to him, if you can see up into the bar. The next task I'm going to show is our turret updates. So the turret would normally only fire at regular enemies, but also needs to be able to shoot at bosses, and then also it needs to despawn after 7 seconds. So we'll go ahead and pick our turret upgrade here. I guess this is also a great time to showcase the Seeker missile updates as well too, since we now have a Seeker missile. So Seeker missile also fires at, normally was also doing the same thing, fired at all normal enemies, but it can now also do damage and fire at boss. Here's the turret shooting at that, and the missile also dealing damage to the boss as well. So next up is the overheat ability update. So overheat was also only applying to regular enemies. So they will also be applying to bosses, and as you can see, when the enemies are damaged, they are red, meaning that overheat is applied. So I'm gonna spawn the boss here, and here's the boss, and we'll do some damage to the boss real quick. Also, so there's the overheat on the boss. The last task that I'm going to show here is our music implementation task. So we were able and fortunate enough to have a music student, a music production student this month for our project by Caleb Novak, was his name. And so he produced a few songs for us. So the task was to implement the music in to the music library and then make sure that it's implemented and the music slider affects it. So we'll go into the game and you can check it out here. So as we can see, our music implementation. So our first music piece here was for the menu, and then we'll go in game, and I'll turn the music up for this one as well. And so that was the music. So just to quickly recap here for the number of tasks completed, we have 4 in total for our volume systems correction, another 5 for the character asset makes 9. Then we have 10 for the Tailwind update, 11 for Blink and Dash, 12 for Whirling Blades updates, 13 for the turret, 14 for the despawn, 15 for Seeker missile updates. Overheat is 17. We got a total here of 20 for the music implementation, and then we also have the Whirling Blades update here for 21 in total completed tasks.
Hello, my name is Darius Nunez, and today I'll be showing my tasks for the sprint review. For the first task is a random collision issue on blue L2 plus hole in the floor. In the blue area level 2, there's a random collision issue and a hole in the floor within that, and it will affect the gameplay if it's not fixed. The complete criteria was to go to blue level 2, look at the areas that's causing the collision issues, fix the hole, and test the collision if there's any further issues. And this is, as you can see here, right over around this area, I think, yeah, around this area there was a issue where there was some collision issues in the corner there, and there's also the fact that the enemies couldn't stop spawning, so there was those. So that on the next thing to showcase on my tasks are the magical resistance increase upgrade and the physical resistance upgrade. So in the setup magical resistance increase upgrade, the criteria was to add a magical stat to the player. It will have a numeric value when adding only an effect magic stats. It changes incoming damages to the player from magic contact. This will show an indication through percentage and based on magical attacks, mostly stuff like magic stats. Update the UI from the upgrade. This update via probably in character menu and data table. Same thing goes with the physical upgrade here. Add physical stat to player. It will have numeric value when adding effect only physical. It changes incoming damages from physical contact to show percentage through physical base attacks mostly, and update to the character. And yeah, as you can see here in these footage here I provided, you can see that I got the upgrades and they do what they are intended to do, give them a little bit of an upgrade, and fight through these enemies a lot more easier. My next task is level asset replacement, and basically for this task, replace every current asset with newer assets created by the art team so it looks more polished and game ready. And all the stuff I asked were walls, floors, small paths, small stairs, and decorate interior design. And as you can see, I have all the walls replaced with different designs. Same thing with the blocks here and the floor. Including some of the stuff over here as well. Little pathways. The stairways I saw earlier. Yeah. The little walls here. Use more of that as well. The stairs I mentioned. Walls. Heading onwards to my next task I got done is the create dynamic terrains and obstacles that stop projectiles. And in this one it says as the player goes through the terrain or obstacles within the level, makes it easier for the player to avoid projectiles from enemies by running away from those projectiles. And my complete criteria was add terrain obstacles in the project, put them on to make it easier, make them hit by projectiles. As you can see in the image here, I made a little diagram and added little marks on the level to make little terrains as obstacles to showcase, hey, if I'm getting shot by one of the enemies, I can just hide behind the wall, so it's easier. And once the enemy hits the collision to those obstacles, they won't get hurt by it. And now I'll be showcasing the tasks I have not yet completed and provide their reasoning. For task, add level elements that our player can roll through. Basically, the player will run away from the enemies as they can go through walls, so the enemies can avoid enemies through attacks through the gameplay for all levels. The criteria is to make a small wall that can fit the player. When the player is rolling, do test runs while player going through the wall and assets. The reason why this was not completed because they decided to cancel the roll mechanic, so I had no idea what to do with this task, and since they canceled it, I just didn't bother leaving it alone. So second thing I didn't do is the animated splash screen or main menu. add a animated splash screen or main menu for the project. Complete criteria is go to the blueprint for splash screen or main menu, make an animation to put it in or either or. That one reasoning because I was focusing on other stuff that were high priority at the time, such as the level and asset replacing. Find the implement damage flinch damage for enemies, bosses, and player. Adjust the add damage flinch for the animation for enemies and bosses and players. The complete criteria was make a flinch animation, implement the animation, blueprint the animation to the player, bosses, and enemies. And yeah, the reason why this one wasn't done is because they decided to change, instead of a flinch animation, just do ragdoll oriented basically, and also in terms of like indication of damage is a little spark from the player. So there's that. Then finally, create an animation for death enemies and boss, probably disintegrator Niagara effect. And the description goes as the player kills the boss or enemies will do death animation with disintegrator Niagara to effect indicate the enemy boss to death being shown to the player. Complete criteria, make a particle effect that will show disintegrating Niagara effect and pair with the particle effect with death animation. Reason is actually what I said before, but this time it's mostly about the ragdolls, mostly because they thought the ragdolls would be better. So yeah, but yeah, that should be all the tasks I have completed / have not completed. So yeah.